Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. Rob here. In this amazing interview, we've got a friend who's worked at big companies like Tesla and Lyft, but also startups and is an entrepreneur. And he's going to talk about his lessons learned and how he pivoted between all these different job roles, which are going to help you in your career journey. Check it out. Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in. Saiman today, who's speaking, has incredible experience working as a coder, schematics control engineer, program manager, product manager, entrepreneur. You guys are going to learn so much from him. But Saiman, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, Rob. I've been seeing a lot of your sessions, and inspired by that, I brought my own little. They drink chai in the southern part of India.
I love it.
Karnataka, where I'm from. So yeah, I'm originally from Udupi, which is a coastal town in Karnataka. Came to the US for grad school. Went to Arizona State, specialized in control systems, and then moved to Atlanta for my first job. Worked in a couple small businesses over there. Then I moved to Silicon Valley. To work at Tesla. Worked for a couple years at Tesla, moved on to Lyft, and I worked at the self-driving group that Lyft has. Did that for a couple years, and then I moved on to another startup, a robotics startup called Nuro, which is also in Silicon Valley. Apart from this, I have side hustles going on and stuff like that. So one of these efforts is something called Resume Puppy. Through technology, we build technology that helps people create really compelling resumes without putting much effort in. But yeah, that's basically been my journey so far.
Awesome, I love it. And I've loved, following your content on LinkedIn as well, where we connected, and that's where we kind of messaged, and this wonderful meeting is happening. So it's all about networking, right?
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, let's go back. We're going to kind of go step by step through Simon's journey and look at some of the lessons learned, and then also just how you've pivoted in your career from roles and totally different jobs, across the spectrum. You definitely haven't stuck and done the same thing, which is such an awesome opportunity that people have here in America. You don't have to get stuck doing the same thing forever. So let's go back to Arizona State University. That's where my parents studied and graduated. My grandfather was a professor there. So, go Sun Devils. With your studies there, doing systems controls, electrical, what were some of the job roles you had as internships? And then when you first got out of college? Let's start about the very beginning.
So Rob, I just want to be super careful and mindful and sort of tell this in the beginning that in everything that I say, right, I'm not representing any entity, or I don't intend to point to something that someone might be working on or are doing or might do or might not do. There is no such implication. This conversation is entirely purely me talking from a very personal capacity about my story. And this is not representing any entity, company, person, anyone else.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying.
I took up a job on campus, which eventually became like a business analyst kind of position in the admissions department. I had a good time there. I learned a lot of business analytics stuff, which was totally new to me and totally outside my domain of expertise. Right, so it was good to have that exposure to something like that. So in the summer, I interned at this company. It was based in Qatar. It was outside. I did an international internship. I didn't do it in the US. Where I helped with designing of industrial, huge switchgear industrial control panels and stuff like that, which gave me really good insight into how things work in the HVAC business, and also in general, right? It's a different culture over there. The industry is different. That gave me a lot of insight into what goes on.
And then when you graduated, you moved to Atlanta, across the country. You went from Arizona, on the western side, to Atlanta on the eastern side of the US, and you worked for a couple companies there. Tell us about those companies and the projects and roles you did there in Atlanta, starting your career in the US.
Yeah, so my first job was before I graduated. Even before I graduated, actually, I moved to Atlanta and worked for this company called Electronics Engineering. It was basically industrial automation company trying to do heavy equipment for big conveyance kind of vendors, and that gave me a good opportunity to get my foot in the door by understanding the basics of what goes into how things are related, right? When you're dealing with controls, it's this thin borderline between hardware and software, where it's super exciting, where you can really go in all electrical engineer mode and then focus on the hardware stuff. and go into schematics design, go into like design testing, stuff like that. And also focus on the software side to code the controls that goes into the PLCs or the SCADA systems and any sort of industrial automation framework that you're using, right? So that's what I really loved about controls in general. And that first job gave me a very sort of warm entry into the field, because the expectation over there was to overlook projects in general and also help in these aspects ad hoc, which gave me the relative freedom to like dedicate enough amount of time to different things and go into that. That was the story of my first job. That happened till I graduated, actually. And so around, I don't know, I think around like 4 or 5 months. Post that, there was this other company in Atlanta that contacted me called Container Automation Systems. What they did was they had technology that was relatively outdated, and what they wanted to do was have someone come in and really revamp the controls and like the servo motors, the drives, and all sort of actuation systems that they had on the machines, so that they can speed up the machine by an order of magnitude and make it relevant to what's happening in the industry today, right? So it was a pretty nervous moment for me, honestly, to begin with, because there's this huge expectation from going from doing something ad hoc where I could help to this where there's a responsibility and making these machines run is on me, literally, right? But anyway, I took up that responsibility to lead those efforts over there, and over the period of like the next close to a year, we really revamped like 5 different lines of products that they had to make it relevant. So there's this concept of cycle time in the industry as we know it, and like the cycle time, the more you reduce the cycle time, the more efficient you are. So what I did there was able to help them improve the cycle time of their machines several fold, which made them really attractive to their customers.
Awesome. I love it. So thinking about your time in Atlanta with those 2 companies and those roles, maybe what was your biggest lesson learned there, and any tips for anyone considering jobs in these kind of industry or field?
Particularly in that period of time, my period of time where I got this entry point into my career, I feel like the biggest thing, there are a lot of people who ask me, right, saying, hey, there's this job that either they're offered or they're being considered for, of which the expectations are extremely high, right? Where you are not even confident if you'll be able to do that job. But then there is someone else placing that trust in you that, hey, okay, so will you do this for us? And that is a tremendous gift. Not everyone gets that high level of trust to begin with from an employer like that. So there is no doubt, just grab that opportunity, right? Between that point and you joining, just work super hard, learn whatever you can, grab that opportunity. You'll also have a ton of opportunity to learn on the fly. And if there's someone offering you something like that, it's very likely that there are really good people on the other side as well that will be considerate of the fact that you have to learn, and be invested in your success. So I would say, take those risks, right? Because you have literally nothing to lose at that point. So take those risks, take it as motivation to propel yourself to the next level of your career.
Now you got swept back across the country and into the automobile industry. Tell us about the next steps in your journey with Tesla and Lyft.
When I was doing all these things for that company and having a bunch of fun working for them, so there's this company, there's Tesla that approached me, and they were like, hey, okay, so we are ramping up our operations here, so would you like to consider, right? So that's when, long story short, that happened well. Like I accepted it, and then I moved to Silicon Valley. I wouldn't count my entire experience at Tesla as something that is native to the automotive industry, although that was the application. It is one of those points where you look at a technology which is automotive in nature, automotive in application, but technology in nature, right? So that is why I consider Tesla to be a very technology-driven company, and that was one of the main reasons, right? Like that I moved to Tesla, because I look at what a company is for the technology that they have and that they're working on. Is it exciting? Things like that. And that's the main reason I moved to Tesla. And of course, Silicon Valley.
And what was your role or title there at Tesla?
So I was a controls engineer at Tesla, working on control systems and the code and also the equipment in general, kind of similar to what I had been doing previously. And I think the kind of slingshot that I got in my previous company helped me to gain all that knowledge that I could then apply at Tesla. My time at Tesla was like incredible. I learned a ton of things. It's like Tesla is one of these companies where, they are driven, they want to get things done. They have a high bar of excellence and things like that. So that really, being at Tesla that earlier on in my career really helped me understand the rigor of being on a mission, right? You're on a mission to do something awesome. It's not about building like the most awesome tech. It's not even more than touching people's lives. It's that, fundamental thing about doing something for the planet, moving the world towards sustainable energy. The whole mission and the culture there was driven towards that. And that was something that really, inspired me to be there and work over there.
I love it. Did you ever get to meet Elon Musk?
Yeah, once or twice.
Very cool. A lot of people respect him and his vision and innovation. All right, now Lyft, you transferred to another, automobile tech company there in the Bay Area. What was kind of your role and job description there?
Yeah, Lyft is an interesting story, and why I made that transition is like super interesting as well. So at that time, Lyft was starting out their autonomous vehicle efforts, which is what they call level 5 right now, Lyft level 5. So they hired a good team, and then they wanted someone to come in and help do all the technical program management over there. So one of the things that really interests me about technical program management in general, and the reason I entered that space is because being an engineer, writing a lot of code, doing a lot of schematics design, electrical design and stuff, and doing a bunch of math, right? I really felt like I was delivering like great impact, but then I felt like for the person that I am, the impact could be larger, right? And the perfect stage for me to bring all those technical skills and also be able to talk to people, influence teams, drive teams towards a broader vision, I saw as technical program management, right? That's like a nice vantage point where you can have a good amount of influence over a lot of teams and deliver and drive teams to deliver. So that's the main reason. That's the main reason I made this transition into technical program management sort of area.
Awesome. So what were some of the fun parts and some of the difficulties making that transition from going from the engineer, the coder, the tech guy to the leader, the manager, the people person? Talk about that shift in your career.
I really like being technical. I am an engineer by nature, right? That's what keeps me in the tech industry. That's what keeps me going to work every day. So being in the grassroots level of those things, I think the knowledge that I gained at that point is super crucial in helping teams make decisions. But then at the same point, you are very, very focused as an engineer on the grassroots level details of things, which you can't afford to do all the time being a technical program manager. And the reason is this. If you end up doing that, one, you end up, stepping on the engineers' toes a lot and not giving them autonomy to do their work, which is super frustrating for any engineer to do, which also suggests that, you don't trust them. There's a lot of like people, like interpersonal spiral that goes into. And the second thing is you just will burn yourself out focusing on extreme number of details, right? So you need to know the art of delegation. So the art of delegation for an engineer is hard to come by if you've been in engineering for a long time, like doing actual coding or grassroots level technical work for a long time, and learning the art of delegation, learning the art of trusting people. TPMs usually are called influencers without authority, right? So there is no vested authority over there hierarchically. But then they are expected to influence. So there is this whole side of being a person that someone can trust and a person that someone can go to that is of paramount importance there. And building that through your background, not despite your background, through your background is the important thing that people usually need to conquer.
That's a great perspective to have. So here's a question: how long till we have autonomous or driverless taxis over here in Dallas, Texas?
Well, I think it's soon. I think it's sooner than a lot of skeptics think, at least.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I hope so. It'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
All right. So Saiman, you talked how you went from more technical engineering at Tesla to now technical program management at Lyft. Now you're continuing that at a really cool robotics company called Nuro. So talk about this new company, new focus, continuing to grow in your management skills. I'd love to hear more about that.
So yeah, Nuro is a super interesting company, heavily driven in the robotics space. So I made this transition to Nuro because I wanted to get like more broader perspective of the space, be able to work with like more interesting people who are doing like a lot of technical stuff at the same time as being a scaling organization, right? Like a company that is actually scaling, and you can grow with that, and you can help bring all the expertise that you gained working in a startup-ish kind of environment like Lyft. Lyft's self-driving group, and an organization that kind of has hit some level of scale like Tesla, and super small business that I worked before that, right? Where I had the complete responsibility of leading the controls efforts of that company. So I was finding a way where I can like bring all these sort of different domain expertises together and do something new, right? And then Nuro is that. I'm trying to bring the expertise that I've gained everywhere else into Nuro and trying to drive something that's impactful, because I think what Nuro is doing like super awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, as I've was checking out your LinkedIn, I saw more about Nuro and how you guys are making the robotic food delivery systems, the little delivery robots. At the college here in Dallas, UT Dallas, they have those delivery robots, and it's so cool. This driverless, as they're cruising around, dropping food off, delivering things, and this is a big game changer, I think, especially during COVID with social distancing, and people can still get food and things, and I'm sure Nuro's cutting edge and doing some really cool stuff, meeting some big needs with that. So yeah, even in the press, I'm seeing now that they're having the full street legal delivery vehicles as well, not just the little sidewalk ones, but full blown on the road kind of stuff. So this is definitely very innovative, and I'm sure you're loving it and be a part of that. Yep,
absolutely. I mean, I'm excited about the whole autonomous vehicle space in general, and especially the whole like convenience delivery part of it. So it's super exciting, super fun work that we are doing. Yeah,
in our American culture, we're all about the convenience. So all these companies are working for that. Hey friends, so our chai question for this video is, would you rather work for a big company or a small startup? We've seen Saiman, he's worked for both small startups and big famous companies here in America. What would you prefer? Would you want to work for a little startup or a big name brand company here in America? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to see what you guys think. Now, to wrap this up, Saiman, let's talk about your little entrepreneurial venture. Tell us about Resume Puppy, your role, your vision, and what people should know about that.
I started Resume Puppy with Anish Hegde. He was a student at UTD.
Yes,
so Rob, I think you know him, right?
Yes.
You know him. Super fun guy to work with, and he's technically super sound. So really excited for what we have going on there. So Resume Puppy is something that we've been talking about since a long time, since about a year now. But the most interesting fact over there is that COVID, right? When COVID struck, a lot of new grads were finding it super hard to find jobs, and there were layoffs and all these other places where people felt the need to have really good resumes, right? And then when you look at a resume, the main component are like, there are two fundamental components, which is like the format and the content, right? So there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of mystery about like these ATS systems, what works with the ATS system, what doesn't, what do I put in my resume, especially with new grads. But even within that, especially with new grads from an international culture, right? We kind of find it hard to imagine that university teaches us so much, but then there's this resume that's a super important document, especially when you don't have a network. That's what you'll be relying on, right, to get you through the through to the industry. But there's this document that you are told nothing about, almost nothing about. And there's this document that stands between you and your job. So we just found it super sad and ironical that there's nothing being done about it, right? And we are a technology company. We want to build technology that helps. So we want to bring our understanding of all these ATS systems, all these sort of best practices in resumes and hiring and things like that into Resume Puppy to actually build a product that people can come. They don't need to worry about anything else. They don't need to worry about formatting, and we give them eventually good nudges around content and stuff like that, so that they just need to worry about bringing all the awesome stuff that they've done into Resume Puppy, so that they can craft it well, put their best foot forward, and stand a significantly higher chance at getting their first awesome job, right? So this was the mission. We want to bring the benefits of technology into this industry, where we at scale help people to craft their resumes super quick through our portal, through resumepuppy.com. It's live. You can create a resume today on that. We are constantly releasing new features that will help international students. It'll also, it'll help anyone create a resume very elegantly. And our team is working super hard, listening closely to whatever feedback we are getting, and we are working super hard to create all those features that will help.
Well, yeah, we'll have a link in the description if people want to find out more, figure out good ways to improve their resume. Thanks for sharing that. Now, as I've just listened to this whole conversation, I think one of the big observations I've had is, it seems like a lot of your jobs came to you rather than you trying to apply for them. Because of having good job experience and doing well at your jobs, because I know you have a great network, you brand yourself well, it seems like jobs are coming to you versus you applying online to hundreds and thousands of jobs begging for jobs. Is that correct?
All the jobs after my first job came from solicitations. They either came from people who were working on some teams who wanted to do something great, and then they knew me and came to me, or random recruiter solicitations that people keep getting on LinkedIn, or something where they looked at me on LinkedIn and decided to give me a chance, right? Mm-hmm. Even earlier on. So I would say that it's a combination of network and also the way I sort of it's how I tell my story, basically. It's very natural. And it's super interesting, and I think a lot of what you're doing is around the networking part, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not about what you know, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you, and that's where those opportunities come from. Saiman, to wrap up, do you have any just final last kind of lessons learned or tips, just kind of reflecting on your career so far, all the things we've talked about, that you'd want to leave or encourage people with as we end this conversation? Different
people want different things, right? What I want is to stay fairly, impactful in a broad manner, right? That's how I try to learn new things and create my impact everywhere. And there are going to be imperfections, right? There are a bunch of things that you do that are not going to work. So it's at those points in time, you have to sort of identify what works, what doesn't work, probably eliminate what doesn't work, double down on what works, leverage that, and then sort of grow, right? That's basically what I did. I figured out what my sort of strongholds are at that point in time, double down on them, and use them to sort of improve other aspects of my skills and my technical journey. And I think that is one thing that I would actually leave with, and it gives you a lot of ideas, right? Even the whole Resume Puppy idea came because Anish and I passed through this whole experience ourselves, so we know what works, what doesn't work, and especially in the tech industry, which most students internationally come into, right? That's super exciting, and we are completely open to feedback all the time. So feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Resume Puppy's page on LinkedIn as well. So we want to know from you what is it that you need next, right? Do you want something that helps you frame your sentences better in a networking sort of message, or do you want something that is totally something we haven't thought of? We want all these crazy ideas so we can build things that are relevant to you and useful to you. So one, build your resume on resumepuppy.com, and second, connect with me on LinkedIn and let us know what you want.
Fantastic. Simon, thanks so much. I've learned a ton from this conversation, so I really appreciate you spending a few minutes hanging out with me today, enjoying some tasty drinks and sharing about your journey, and it's going to inspire and help so many other people. So thank you so much for sharing on Chai and Coaching.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Rob.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and you guys, if this conversation's been helpful, give a big like and thumbs up to say thanks to Saiman. We're gonna have his LinkedIn if you want to connect with him there in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to Chai and Coaching. We want to help you guys in your journeys, in your career path, in your cross-cultural learning to be successful. We love helping to do that. We're gonna have more great conversations like this. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cheers.